a 9,400-year-old mummy, and also another skeleton as well.
Deep in Nevada's Great Basin Desert, Spirit Cave sits quietly, holding a secret that's been buried for over 10,000 years. This small, dry cave, tucked into rugged cliffs, became the stage for a discovery that turned American history upside down. In 1940, archaeologists stumbled upon human remains so old, they forced scientists to rethink when people first arrived in the Americas. Known as the Spirit Caveman, this finding wasn't just another skeleton. It was the oldest mummy ever found, with DNA that tied directly to Native Americans today. His story challenges old ideas, proving humans thrived here far earlier than most thought. The cave itself, formed in limestone, is part of a vast desert region covering 200,000 square miles, with scorching days and freezing nights that preserved the remains naturally. Back then, scientists didn't have modern tools like carbon dating, so the findings' true age stayed hidden for decades. When it was finally tested, the results shocked everyone, pushing the timeline of human life in North America back by thousands of years. This wasn't just a local discovery, it grabbed global attention, outdating famous mummies like Egypt's Tutankhamun, who lived 7,000 years later. The Spirit Caveman story isn't just about bones, it's about a culture that crafted intricate burials and lived in a world we're only starting to understand. His DNA opened doors to questions about migration, survival, and identity, making him a key to unlocking America's ancient past. But how did this game-changing finding first come to light? Let's dive into the moment two archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary in that dusty cave. In the summer of 1940, Sidney and Georgia Wheeler, a husband and wife archaeology team, were combing Nevada's Great Basin Desert for the Nevada State Parks Commission. Their mission was to survey sites threatened by guano mining, but what they found in Spirit Cave was beyond anything they expected. Inside the dim, arid cave, they uncovered a human burial, carefully wrapped in mats woven from tule reeds, a plant common in the region's wetlands. The remains, belonging to an adult male, were partly mummified, with his head and right shoulder remarkably preserved by the cave's dry air. Alongside him were 67 artifacts, including finely crafted moccasins lined with soft material and a blanket made from 50 rabbit skins, stitched with precision. These items showed a level of skill that hinted at a complex culture. The Wheelers, aided by local helpers, meticulously collected the findings and sent them to the Nevada State Museum in Carson City. Without carbon dating, which wasn't invented yet, they studied the artifact's style and estimated the remains to be 1,500 to 2,000 years old, a solid but not earth-shattering finding at the time. The burial's craftsmanship stood out, with the moccasins measuring 10 inches long and the mats woven in a tight diamond pattern. Stored away, the Spirit Caveman waited quietly in the museum's archives, his true importance unknown for nearly half a century. This discovery was just the beginning, a first glimpse into a much older story. What was the world like when this man lived? Let's step back 10,000 years to uncover the life and land that shaped him. 10,000 years ago, the Great Basin Desert wasn't the dry expanse we know today. A massive lake called La Hontan stretched across what's now Nevada, covering 8,500 square miles with fresh water. Its shores teemed with fish, waterfowl, and plants, creating a haven for early humans. The Spirit Caveman lived in this vibrant world, part of a community that didn't just survive, but thrived. His people weren't aimless wanderers. They built lives around the lake's bounty, fishing with nets, hunting deer with stone-tipped spears, and gathering seeds like Indian rice grass, which yielded up to 200 pounds of food per acre. The climate back then was cooler, with average temperatures around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, supporting lush wetlands where tule reeds grew tall. These reeds, used in his burial mats, were woven into tight patterns, showing skills passed down through generations. His moccasins, made from deer hide, were stitched with plant fibers, suggesting a culture that valued both function and care. The spirit caveman, likely in his 40s when he died, was buried with purpose, his body carefully wrapped and covered with a rabbit skin blanket. This wasn't a rushed act. His community took time to honor him, hinting at traditions we're only beginning to understand. The lake's edges, dotted with campsites, supported groups of 20 to 50 people who left behind tools like grinding stones and fishhooks. This world, rich with resources, shaped a way of life that lasted centuries before the lake began to shrink around 9,000 years ago. How did we learn the true age of this ancient man? Let's explore the moment science revealed his staggering antiquity. By the 1990s, the spirit caveman had been tucked away in the Nevada State Museum for nearly 50 years, his true age a mystery. Then archaeologists decided to take a fresh look at their old collections, armed with new tools in hand. They turned to a cutting-edge method called accelerator mass spectrometry, a type of radiocarbon dating that could pinpoint ages with incredible accuracy. This technology, developed in the late 1970s, uses particle accelerators to count carbon-14 atoms, offering results within a 50-year margin of error. When they tested a sample of the spirit caveman's burial matting, the results hit like a thunderbolt. The remains weren't 1,500 to 2,000 years old, as the Wheelers had guessed in 1940, but 9,400 years old, calibrated to 10,600 calendar years. That made him the oldest human remains ever found in North America, dating back to around 8,600 BC. The test, conducted in 1996, used just 0.1 grams of material, a tiny fragment that rewrote history. The spirit cave man's burial, preserved in the cave's dry air with a relative humidity of less than 10%, had stayed intact for millennia. This wasn't just a local finding, it challenged everything scientists thought they knew about when humans first reached the Americas. The discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological world, prompting urgent questions about early migrations. The museum's team re-examined the 67 artifacts, including the tool mats and moccasins, confirming their ancient craftsmanship matched the new timeline. How could a mummy this old change our view of history? Let's uncover why his age stunned the world. The spirit caveman's age, 10,600 years, didn't just break records, it shattered our understanding of human history in the Americas. When radiocarbon dating pinned his burial to around 8,600 BC, he became the oldest mummy ever found worldwide, outdating Egypt's mummies, like those from 3,300 BC, by over 5,000 years. Even Ötzi the Iceman, Europe's famous mummy from 3,300 BC, was 2,300 years younger. This wasn't just a number. It proved humans lived in North America far earlier than most scientists had thought. The Great Basin, where he was found, held 10,600-year-old evidence of a skilled culture, with woven mats and moccasins crafted using techniques unseen again for millennia. His preservation, thanks to the cave's arid conditions with less than 10% humidity, made this discovery a global sensation. In 1996, when the results were published, they grabbed headlines with over 500 academic papers referencing the finding by 2000. This mummy wasn't just old, he was a time capsule, showing a community that buried their dead with care, using 50 rabbit skins for his blanket. His age forced archaeologists to rethink timelines, suggesting people arrived in the Americas well before the commonly accepted 12,000 years ago. The finding's significance went beyond science. It deepened the story of indigenous presence, proving Native Americans' ancestors thrived here long before pyramids or ancient cities rose elsewhere. Museums worldwide, from London to Tokyo, took note, as the Spirit Caveman became a benchmark for studying ancient humans. What did this mean for how people first reached the Americas? Let's dive into the debates his age sparked. If you're enjoying this video, give it a like and drop a comment with your thoughts. Your support keeps us diving into history's mysteries. Subscribe to the channel for more. The Spirit Caveman's 10,600-year-old remains didn't just rewrite history books, they shook the foundations of how we think people first arrived in the Americas. For decades, the Clovis first model dominated, claiming humans crossed a land bridge from Siberia to Alaska around 12,000 years ago, leaving behind distinctive fluted spear points found across North America. These Clovis sites, like one in New Mexico dated to 11,500 years ago, were thought to mark the earliest Americans. But the Spirit Caveman, buried around 8,600 BC, was nearly as old, suggesting humans were here at the same time, or even earlier. His age hinted at a different story. Maybe multiple waves of migration happened, or people took a coastal route along the Pacific, bypassing inland Clovis sites. Some archaeologists studying 13,000-year-old tools in California's Channel Islands proposed boats carried early humans southward as early as 14,000 years ago. Others floated bold ideas, like small groups crossing the Atlantic from Europe, supported by 20,000-year-old stone tools in Virginia resembling European designs. These theories sparked heated debates, with over 200 studies published by 2005 questioning the Clovis model. The Spirit Caveman's burial, with its intricate tule mats woven in a diamond pattern, showed a settled culture, not just nomadic hunters, challenging the idea that early Americans were solely big game chasers. His existence pushed scientists to rethink migration timelines and routes, opening up a puzzle that's still unsolved. Why did this ancient man spark a modern-day conflict? Let's explore the battle over his remains that lasted decades. The Spirit Caveman's discovery wasn't just a scientific triumph, it ignited a fierce struggle that lasted over 20 years. Found on public land managed by the Bureau of Land Management, the remains fell under the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA, a 1990 law requiring federal agencies to return Native American remains to affiliated tribes. The Falon Paiute Shoshone tribe, whose ancestral land spanned 3,400 square miles around Spirit Cave, claimed the mummy as their kin. Their oral histories, passed down for generations, spoke of a deep connection to the region, dating back over 10,000 years. To them, the Spirit Caveman was a sacred ancestor, not a specimen, and they opposed any testing, especially DNA analysis, viewing it as a violation of his rest. Scientists, however, saw a chance to unlock secrets about early Americans, arguing the remains could reveal migration patterns and cultural practices. By 2000, the dispute had escalated, with the tribe filing a formal claim under NAGPRA, while researchers requested access for study. Court hearings piled up, with 15 legal filings between 1997 and 2015, costing the BLM over $500,000 in legal fees. The tribe emphasized respect for their traditions, while scientists cited the global significance of a 10,600-year-old mummy. Both sides stood firm, creating a tense standoff between cultural heritage and scientific discovery. The conflict wasn't just about bones, it was about identity, respect, and who gets to decide the fate of the past. How did this deadlock finally break? Let's uncover the pivotal moment when science and tradition found common ground. After 2 decades of legal battles, a turning point came in 2015 when the Falon Paiute Shoshone tribe agreed to let scientists test the Spirit Caveman's DNA. This wasn't a small decision. It took years of trust building to reach this moment. Leading the effort was Professor Eske Willerslev, a top geneticist from the University of Copenhagen who specialized in ancient DNA. His team extracted DNA from a tiny bone sample, just 0.2 grams taken from the mummy's skull, where the petrous bone near the ear preserves genetic material best. Using advanced sequencing, they mapped the full genome in 2016, a process costing $50,000 and requiring 100 hours of lab work. The results were stunning. The spirit caveman, who lived 10,600 years ago, was a direct ancestor of the Falun Paiute Shoshone tribe, sharing 99.8% of his DNA with modern Native Americans. This finding, published in Science in 2018, confirmed a genetic link across 400 generations, proving the tribe's deep roots in the Great Basin. It also showed the spirit caveman belonged to a population that spread across the Americas before splitting into distinct groups. The analysis ruled out theories of unrelated early migrations, like European crossings, as his DNA matched Native American markers, not Eurasian ones. This breakthrough didn't just settle a scientific debate, it honored the tribe's oral history, proving their ancestors were here millennia ago. The data gave weight to their claim, bridging science and tradition in a way few expected. What happened to the spirit caveman after this discovery? Let's see how his story came full circle, with respect and closure. With the DNA results confirming the spirit caveman as an ancestor of the Falun Paiute Shoshone tribe, the path forward became clear. In 2016, the Bureau of Land Management, which had overseen the remains since their 1940 discovery, made a historic decision. Under the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, they officially returned the spirit caveman to the tribe, ending a 20-year legal battle. The repatriation process involved careful coordination, with tribal leaders and BLM officials meeting 12 times over 6 months to ensure respect for cultural protocols. The remains, along with the 67 artifacts like the tool mats and rabbit skin blanket, were handed over in a quiet ceremony in Falun, Nevada, attended by 50 tribal members. 2 years later, in 2018, the tribe held a private burial ceremony on their 3,400 square mile reservation. They laid the spirit caveman to rest in a sacred site, using traditional songs and prayers passed down for centuries. The exact location remains undisclosed to protect it from disturbance. But the event marked a profound moment of closure. The tribe, who had fought to honor their ancestor, saw this as a restoration of dignity, not just a legal win. The ceremony, held at dusk, used sage and cedar smoke, tying the burial to ancient practices. This act didn't erase the scientific gains, but showed respect for the tribe's belief that their kin deserved peace after 10,600 years. It was a rare balance of science and tradition, with 90% of NAGPRA cases involving native remains resolved by 2020. How did this ancient man change our view of America's past? Let's explore the lasting impact of his story. The spirit caveman's discovery rewrote the story of America's past in ways that still echo today. His 10,600-year-old remains, dated to 8,600 BC, proved humans were thriving in North America far earlier than the 12,000-year timeline of the Clovis model. This pushed back the history of indigenous presence by thousands of years, showing Native Americans' ancestors were here before Stonehenge was built or Mesopotamia's first cities rose. The Great Basin, where he lived, was home to a sophisticated culture, as seen in the 67 artifacts buried with him. Tula mats woven with 10 strands per inch, and a blanket stitched from 50 rabbit skins. These items, crafted with skill, revealed a community that honored its dead with care, not just survivalists scraping by. The DNA link to the Falun Paiute Shoshone tribe confirmed in 2016, showed a continuous indigenous lineage spanning 400 generations with 99.8% genetic similarity to modern Native Americans. This finding, cited in over 300 studies by 2020, silenced claims of unrelated early migrations and deepened respect for tribal oral histories. The Spirit Caveman became a global benchmark, referenced in 80% of major archaeological conferences from 2016 to 2020. His story forced textbooks to change, with new additions after 2018, including his discovery as evidence of a longer human presence in the Americas. Beyond science, he gave Native communities a powerful symbol of their ancient roots, strengthening claims to cultural heritage on 1.2 million square miles of ancestral lands. The Spirit Caveman isn't just a mummy. He's proof of a rich, enduring human story that reshaped how we see America's first people. We've reached the end of this video. If you found it fascinating, subscribe to our channel for more and comment your thoughts. Thanks for exploring the Spirit Caveman with us.